Welcome, Fright Night Vault listeners. Sometimes the quiet places feel the most dangerous. Hospitals especially, because you never really know who died there, or who stayed long after. Subscribe to the Vault and never walk alone again. Tonight's audio horror, terrifying ghost encounter, the one who wanted her body, starts now. You ever notice how hospitals feel different at night? I mean, you walk through during the day and it's all noise and movement and people talking. But once the lights go down, there's this heaviness to the air, like the building is holding its breath. And that's exactly the kind of place this happened. A pediatric ward, 3rd floor. A little girl named Emily had ended up there after an accident at school. Nothing too dramatic, just a fall. But the doctors wanted to keep her for observation a couple days. Her parents thought it'd be boring for her, maybe a little scary at worst. They didn't know what else was sharing that floor with her. And honestly, neither did the nurses, even though some of them had seen things they couldn't explain for years. The first day was normal. Monitors beeping, cartoons on the TV, her mom sitting by the bed scrolling through her phone. Emily talked like any kid who wanted to go home, asking when she'd be allowed to sleep in her own room again. But night 1, that's when the small things started. Her mother said Emily kept waking up every hour, whispering that someone was standing near the foot of the bed. And she wasn't scared exactly, more confused, because she kept saying, "He wants to talk to me." When her mom asked who she meant, Emily just pointed at the empty corner of the room and said she couldn't remember his name. Kids sleep talk, you know, so her mom didn't think too much of it. But the second night, that's when everything changed. And I've heard enough stories from people to know when something doesn't fit the normal patterns of dreams or stress. Emily's father showed up after work that evening. He said the girl seemed different the moment he walked in. Not sick, not tired, just off. Her voice was wrong. Her reactions were slower. When he'd ask her something simple like, "Did you eat?" she'd answer a full 10 seconds later, like she was listening to something else in the room before she replied. Her father told me he kept watching the doorway because he swore he heard someone whisper from the hall once or twice. And he wasn't the only one hearing things that night. Nurses had been complaining at the station that there were footsteps in the hallway, but the cameras weren't catching anyone walking. One nurse even leaned in toward another and muttered, "It's pacing again." They weren't supposed to talk about it, but they all knew there was something wrong with that floor after dark. Around 1 in the morning, Emily woke up again, but this time her breathing was strange, slow, deep, almost deliberate. Her mother leaned over her bed and asked if she was okay, and Emily, she stared at the ceiling for a moment and murmured, "He's waiting for me to fall asleep." Her father said he felt this cold pressure move across the room, like air sliding in the wrong direction. He kept checking the thermostat because it dropped nearly 10 degrees in under a minute. Hospitals don't do that. Not suddenly. Not in just one room. He tried to keep Emily awake, but she kept drifting off, twitching like someone was tugging at her. And then the real problems began. Emily started talking in her sleep, but the voice wasn't hers. Not even close. Something lower. Something too steady for a child. She kept whispering the same phrase over and over. "Almost time." Her mother told the doctors in a panic, but by the time they came in, Emily was silent and looking out the window like nothing happened. And the thing that scared her father the most was that the window showed nothing but the parking lot. Dark, empty, and far below. Yet Emily kept nodding at something out there, like whatever she was watching was giving her instructions. The doctors left, thinking maybe it was stress or medication, But as soon as the door clicked shut, Emily turned her head, not slowly, not tiredly, but sharply, like something snapped her attention back toward the corner of the room. Her father said the movement didn't look human, too precise. And right after that, the lights flickered. Just once, but that was enough. That's when her father grabbed her shoulders gently and asked what was going on. And Emily smiled. Not a big smile, just this tiny, eerie little smirk that didn't belong on a child's face. She murmured, "He said you can't stop him tonight." Her father froze. He told me he felt his hands go numb. Her voice, she said it casually, almost amused. And that's when he realized it wasn't Emily talking to him. Not fully. Something else was using her, taking pieces. Her mannerisms were all wrong. Her posture changed. She sat up straighter than she ever did, like something was helping her hold herself steady. And she kept glancing toward the dark corner of the room, the same one she pointed at the night before. Her mother asked her who she was looking at, and Emily replied, "My friend. He doesn't like that you're interrupting." Her father said every hair on his neck stood up, because that corner, he could see it clearly, and it was empty. Or at least, it looked empty. But as he stepped closer, he said it felt like walking into a wall of cold air, dense and angry. He backed away quick. Around 2:30, everything escalated. Her heart monitor started spiking, then dropping, then spiking again. Not random, rhythmic, like something was syncing with her heartbeat. The nurses rushed in, trying to get her stabilized. But Emily wasn't unconscious. She was awake, staring at the ceiling and smiling faintly. "It's almost done," she whispered, and one of the nurses actually stepped back from the bed, because for a second, it looked like Emily's shadow wasn't matching her body. It stretched wrong, thinner, longer, like something was looming over her, using her shape as a reference. That's when her mother grabbed her and said, "Tell us who's here with you." Emily blinked, slow, and whispered, "He's been here since before you were born." Her father called for security. They came fast, thinking it was some kind of intruder situation. But when they entered the room, the temperature dropped again. One of the guards later admitted he heard a child's voice whisper behind him, "You're too late." And then everything in the room went silent. Every machine froze for a full 2 seconds. Not turned off, froze. You ever seen an entire wall of electronics stop dead at the same time? It doesn't feel like a power problem. It feels like someone is holding them still. Emily's body jerked, arching off the bed like something was trying to pull upward from inside her. The nurses tried to hold her down, but her strength wasn't normal. She wasn't thrashing wildly. She was moving with purpose, like something was guiding her limbs. Her father said she stared straight at him while her back lifted off the mattress, and she whispered, "Almost mine." And that was the moment he realized the entity didn't want the room, or the family, or attention. It wanted her. Nurses pushed medication to calm her body, and slowly the tension left her muscles. She slumped back into the bed, breathing hard. Her eyes fluttered open once, and she looked terrified, truly terrified, like she finally understood what was happening. And she whispered, barely audible, "Don't let him take me." Her mother held her hand so tight she left marks. A few hours passed after that. They refused to sleep. They refused to let the lights turn off. Nurses rotated more often, staying close. The entity didn't try again before sunrise, but it watched. You know that feeling when someone's eyes are on you, even in a quiet room? Her father swore he felt that stare all night long from the same corner of the room. And what pushed everything over the edge was what happened at discharge. Emily was cleared to go home by noon. Her vitals were perfect. Her behavior was normal. Too normal. The doctor asked her a question, and she answered in a tone that sounded exactly like the first day. Cheerful, light, tired of being there. Her father said it was like nothing had ever happened. But when they were walking toward the elevator, Emily paused. She looked back down the hallway, and she whispered, "He's waiting for another one." She didn't say it frightened. She said it like she was repeating something she'd been told. Her father asked what she meant, and she just shook her head and asked to go home. They brought her out to the car, buckled her in, and drove away fast. And I'll tell you something the nurses told me later, something the family didn't know. A few hours after Emily left, another child was admitted to the same room. A boy, 7 years old. And that night, the nurses swore they heard someone whisper in the hallway again. Almost time. The hospital has never been able to explain the electronics freezing, or the sudden temperature drops, or the footsteps caught on audio but not on camera. And Emily's family never went back there again. But the entity never left. It waited. It still waits. And if you ever find yourself in a hospital room late at night, especially on the 3rd floor, you might feel someone watching from the corner. If you do, don't look, don't acknowledge it, and whatever you do, don't fall asleep first. Well, Fright Night Vault listeners, that's the end of this case. I've gone through the reports, the interviews, the timestamps, and every piece leads to the same quiet truth. Some hospital rooms don't empty when the patient leaves. Something else decides to stay. And if it wants a way back, it waits for the smallest body, the weakest moment, the first night someone sleeps alone. If you ever find yourself in a place like that, keep the lights on, keep talking to someone, and don't ignore the corner of the room, no matter how much you want to. Well, Fright Night Vault listeners, this is the end of this story. If you have a horror story of your own, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. You never know, the next story could be yours. Subscribe to The Vault and never walk alone again.